Well, Apollo 7 is still the longest, most ambitious, most successful first test flight of any new machine. And we weren't there to check out the climate and do things like that. But we did get a chance to take a look at the Earth. And you could look down and see really how sensitive and tender the Earth looks from orbit. Because of the seat I was sitting in, the description was lunar module pilot, but we didn't have a lunar module. My responsibilities on the vehicle were all of the systems within the command module except for the navigation system and the navigation and control system, and then launch aboard. All the other systems were my responsibility, and so I developed malfunction procedures and was basically, when we flew, I felt very comfortable with all that. Well, if you say really warming, that sounds like it's a strong warming. That's not necessarily so, but is it warming? Yes. Is it cooling? Yes. It goes on all the time. It's probably 4.8 billion years of history when our climate's been changing, and we ought to make sure that people understand it's not a question about climate change. It's a question about the cause of climate change. And yes, I'm here because I'm pleased to offer some kind of reality to those folks who would like to blame it on the teeny tiny smidgen little bit of carbon dioxide that humans are creating. Well, I think these are people that don't have any real scientific background. In this day and age, there's a great percentage of our population that are not what I would consider scientific literate. They don't seem to have a whole lot of interest in it. The media is very, very important in what people begin to believe these days. The media doesn't have a scientific background. All of these are things that need to be addressed, because anybody that's a serious scientist, and I've been trying to call us realists about it, take a look at the data and draw their conclusions. I urge everybody to look at the data themselves. Don't believe what other people are just telling you, because that's not going to get to the bottom of the problem. So you ought to be looking at the data yourself. And when they start talking about things like consensus science, that's something they've invented because they aren't making their case. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, I've never seen one of the alarmists on global climate change present data and scientific facts when they're making their case. All they do is criticize those of us who are more realistic about it. With those that have been at it a long time, and I can't really blame them if they've invested years of their life in it, I think they're ideologically committed up to the point where it is like a religion. And anybody that says anything against it is like going against their belief system. And I think those are going to be very difficult people to convince otherwise.